Katie, thank you for coming to Crafternoon HQ for your interview.
Thank you so much for seeing me. I'm really happy and excited to be here.
Oh, well great, take a seat. Can I offer you a craft beer?
I would love one, thank you, in the spirit of Crafternoon.
Of course. Let me use my Crafternoon key ring to open it.
Thank you.
Do we cheers?
Cheers to
Crafternoon.
and to Luke McKeever.
Big dog.
Big dog. Warm.
So, you're here for the role of interim Crafternoon CEO. As you know, Luke McKeever, Big Dog, has taken a period of leave.
Yeah.
So Katie, as a former Crafternoon participant, I'm sure you're well aware of how the games work, so
I am, yeah.
let's just jump straight in. So while Crafternoon is usually fun and games, there are periods of conflict. And as a crafter master, you would have to assert your authority into the teams. What would you do in a situation where someone questioned that authority?
Well, Lily, that's a really great question, and thank you so much for asking that one first. I find the most effective way to deal with all of these conflicts, specifically when people question the craftmaster, is to deduct 5 points from Patrick.
And what would you do if it wasn't Patrick's team that had made the infraction?
Honestly, Lily, in my experience, it's always Patrick's team, and even in a case of it not necessarily being his team, for once actually not being his team, I would suspect he'd been involved somehow, and I would still deduct 5 points from Patrick.
I think that's a good rule to live with. Okay, Katie, so as you'll know, one of the classic Crafternoon games is the world famous egg toss. When we're assessing this game, we need to think about the logistics of the park and how drunk people are to help work out what kind of space we need. So my question is, what is the maximum distance that the egg toss could ever get to? And I'd like to, I guess I'm not looking for a number, I'm looking for your thought process to get to the answer. And there's a whiteboard and a pen here if you'd like to think through yourself.
Okay, yeah, give me a second. So, in this instance, the question at hand here, what is the max distance we can throw an egg? And as we established, there are multiple risk factors involved. Quite frankly, a lot of the time it comes down to the people versus the amount of wavies they have had to drink. It has been scientifically proven that the more wavies you have to drink, the more risk, the greater risk there is of egg breakage. Also identified as potential risk factors, Nucleon, dino attack. It's a real possibility, specifically in Rush Hunters Park. And further considerations. What kind of egg is this? What kind of egg is it?
So at Crafternoon, we do use free-range eggs, but we do not boil them beforehand. So they are raw eggs that are getting thrown.
Okay, and you know what? It really it brings to life some other questions, some like real ones. I don't even know what I'm saying now. Ones that we really need answering. Why do eggs bounce?
It's a mystery to me, Katie, but something that I think we've all observed happen in the most unusual situations.
Yeah. And lastly, one thing I really want to consider is who's catching this. Is Laura Fenn trying to catch the egg? Because that would decrease the distance exponentially.
It's very true. And I'm glad that you've given the perfect formula. That is correct.
Yeah, that is people minus Laura Fenn times wavy divided by dino attack equals an unconfirmed distance.
Okay, and so my next question is, if you were to step into the role and be Luke McKeever for a day, Big Dog, how would you deal with a situation where you caught someone cheating in a round? For example, if you saw someone using Shazam during a music question during the quiz.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's crucial in all of these scenarios to put on my Luke McKeever Big Dog hat and think, what would Luke McKeever Big Dog do? And I think the best way to resolve all of these things in what we like to call the Ed Simpson example is to deduct 5 points from Patrick and his team.
It's good to stick with your guns. So Katie, do you have any questions for me about the role?
Yeah, if I was to be successful, which I think I have been in this, are there any other things that I should be aware of? Any non-competes?
Look, if you were to leave Crafternoon Industries, we do put a few non-competes in your contract.
Okay.
For example, for the 6 months after you leave Crafternoon, you wouldn't be allowed to play any games outside in a park.
Oh, okay.
If you attend a pub quiz, you must only provide incorrect answers.
Yeah.
And while we do allow your use of eggs, you must only do so for breakfast purposes.
Right.
Something to consider, but it really helps protect our kind of IP within Crafternoon.
Yeah, and do I get all the merch on my first day?
Yes, and in fact, we'd encourage you to think of more merch ideas.
Yes. Masks.
The Crafternoon face mask, it's something
coming.
that's on the drawing board.
Yeah.
Accurate. Good idea, Katie.
Okay.
Anyway, well, that's a great interview, Katie. I think you're a brilliant candidate.
Thank you.
When can you start? Whew, that was a hot one.
I think you might. The light is great. It is golden hour.
Sure
Getting
is.
there. We might be sweaty.
Very sweaty.
Yeah. Okay. Just so go.
Next question. What are we going to do? Let's
Fuck me.
Yeah, it's really warm. It's going to go in the outtakes.
It is 39 degrees, but Lily says we have to be professional and wear a blazer.
I'm wearing a hoodie.
Nailing it.
Should be minus the sun off.
Alright, Cambridge over here.
Okay.